Hi, I'm Vanessa from speakenglishwithvanessa.com. Are you ready to improve your pronunciation and your listening skills? Let's do it. One of the keys to understanding natural, fast English is to know more about reductions and linking that happen when native speakers are speaking quickly. When you can understand these reductions, a whole new world opens up to you, and you'll catch and hear words that you never heard before. Do you know another benefit of improving your listening skills? Well, when you know those reductions, you can improve your pronunciation too because you can use them in real life. Are you ready to talk about 10 common reductions in English? Actually, technically, there are 14 because, ironically, I couldn't reduce this list to only 10. In any case, a reduction means that there are some letters in common words that we just don't say when we're speaking quickly. Native speakers don't talk like this. In fact, we cut off sounds, we reduce sounds, we push words together, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So are you ready to get started with our first common reduction? Let's do it. How is this word pronounced? Is it your? Occasionally you're going to hear that in slower English, but in fast English, you're going to hear your. Your. I have your phone. Your boss called today. You could say, I have your phone, but do you see how many more muscles that takes? Nah, let's reduce it and make it simpler for your muscles and say, I have your phone. I have your phone. Your boss called today. My mouth is hardly moving when I say this. Your boss called today. Make sure that you say all of these sample sentences with me during today's lesson. Exercise your speaking muscles because at the end of this lesson, I'm going to be putting all 10 together in one big challenge sentence that I want you to be able to say. So practice them step by step with me. Let's say those two sentences together. I have your phone. I have your phone. Your boss called today. Your boss called today. Let's move on to reduction number 2. How do you say this word? Is it our? Our? You might hear this in kind of slower, clearer speech, but in fast conversation, it just sounds like the letter R. 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 He has our dog. He has our dog. Our car broke down. Our car broke down. Our car broke down. Can you say those two sentences with me? Practice saying just the letter R. Forget O and U, just say R. He has our dog. He has our dog. Our car broke down. Our car broke down. The third reduction is actually these 3 words because they kind of go together. 3 different pronouns. How can we say this sample sentence? Should you say, I have his phone? I have his phone? It's okay. I mean, when you're speaking clearly and maybe a little slowly, you might pronounce the H, but in spoken fast English, we're going to cut off the H and just say, I have his phone. I have his phone. I have his phone. I have his phone. What about with her? I have her phone. I have her phone. The H is gone. I have her phone. How about this sentence? Should you say, I gave it to them? I gave it to them? It's okay. I mean, it's understandable because you're saying every sound, but like the previous 2 words, we're going to cut off that first sound and just say, I gave it to him. That TH is gone. I gave it to him. I gave it to him. Now, I want to let you know that with his, her, and them, we're typically going to cut off that first sound when there's other words before that pronoun. If you said, his phone is on the table, you're not going to cut out the H in his because there's no words before that. Instead, it's used to link with the previous words, but if there's no previous words, then you need to say his phone. But you can say, I have his phone, because I have comes before his phone. I have his phone. I have his phone. If you'd like to check out some more of these pronoun reductions, I made a video up here about how to speak English fast, so you can check out some of those other tips. Before we go on to the next reduction, let's say those 3 sentences together. I have his phone. I have his phone. I have her phone. I have her phone. I gave it to him. I gave it to him. How did you do? All right, let's go on to the next reduction. What about this contraction? This contraction is two words put together. That's the definition of a contraction. They are creates Theyre. Is that the best, most reduced way to say it? Theyre? No. Instead, the Y is just going to be kind of glossed over. We can say Theyre. Theyre. The Y is a little bit forgotten and it sounds the same as T-H-E-I-R or T-H-E-R-E. There. Look over there. There. Let's look at this in a couple sentences. I think they're coming in the mail. I think they're coming in the mail. If you said, I think they're coming in the mail with that clear Y sound, it's okay, but when native speakers speak quickly, you're not going to hear that. You're going to hear, I think they're coming in the mail. I think they're coming in the mail. Or, they're eating all the cake. They're eating all the cake. Now, really, you're just going to have to pick up on context clues to know if this is T-H-E-R-E, look over there, or if it is they're eating all the cake, because the pronunciation is the same. They're eating all the cake, save some for me. There. Let's say those two sentences together. I think they're coming in the mail. I think they're coming in the mail. They're eating all the cake. They're eating all the cake. All right, let's go on to the next reduction. We have another contraction. Did plus not creates this word. Should you say didn't? Didn't? Yeah, it's okay. It's clear. But when native speakers are speaking quickly, you're not going to hear all of those sounds. Instead, you're going to hear, wait for it, didn't. Didn't. It's really two cut short sounds. Didn't. And the is going to be in your throat. What in the world is happening with this word? Well, first of all, the second D, did, we're going to just stop that short in your throat. Did. The N is going to be pronounced but my tongue is at the top of my mouth because I need to form that T sound without any air passing through. Didn't. My tongue is at the top of my mouth. I didn't say didn't. I didn't make that final puff of air. Instead, my tongue is stopped at the top of my mouth. Can you say that word just by itself with me? Didn't. Let's put it in a sentence. He didn't know the answer. He didn't know the answer. Why didn't you clean your room? Why didn't you clean your room? It's pretty essential to know if this is a positive word, did, or a negative word, didn't, which is pronounced didn't. But it can be pretty hard to hear that final negative part because the T is stopped short in your mouth. So when you're used to hearing this reduction, hopefully after today's lesson, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable picking up on if it's a positive sentence or if it's a negative sentence. Let's say those two sentences together. He didn't know the answer. He didn't know the answer. Why didn't you clean your room? Why didn't you clean your room? Okay, let's go to the next one. Our next reduction is this word. Should you say that with a clear ah sound? Well, in daily conversation, we often change that vowel sound to be an E. The, eh. Notice how my tongue is flat here. That. Let's look at some sentences. I think that it's sunny. I think that it's sunny. I think that that it's sunny. You might hear I think that it's sunny, but it's a little bit more difficult to create those muscles to make an ah sound. I think that it's sunny. And instead, reductions are using lazy, relaxed style pronunciation, so we use an eh sound instead. I think that. Let's go to the next sentence. She told me that the test was easy. She told me that the test was easy. She told me that the test was easy. Let's say those two sentences together. I think that it's sunny. I think that it's sunny. She told me that the test was easy. She told me that the test was easy. Okay, let's go on to our next reduction. What about this lovely sentence? It's not exactly just one word that's reduced, but we often say this whole sentence together, so I want to help you reduce it and understand all of the different reductions for it, because in this situation, there's not just one reduction, there are multiple. The first one, the most clear, is I don't know. I don't know. Listen carefully for the T sound, which makes this contraction negative. I don't know. Did you hear it? Nope. Instead, my tongue is stopped at the top of my mouth. This is called a stopped T. It happens all the time. We just talked about it a moment ago with didn't. And here you're going to say, I don't know. So your tongue is stopped at the top of your mouth at the end of this word. You're not saying I don't. Instead, just I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. These reductions are going to gradually get more and more casual. The next one is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What's the weather like today? I don't know. I haven't gotten out of bed yet. I don't know. Or you can cut off the D sound and say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What's the weather like? I don't know. I haven't gotten out of bed yet. I don't know. But can we reduce this even further? Yes. You can just add 3 similar sounds and say, Unbelievably, every native speaker will absolutely understand if you say, especially if you do that kind of gesture with your shoulders. It means, I don't know, but you didn't say I, you didn't say don't, you didn't say no, you just said, This is very casual, so don't say this to your boss if he says, when's the project going to be finished? You might lose your job. It's really casual. It usually means, I don't care too. I'm kind of detached from this situation. What's the weather like today? I'm sick today. Don't ask me. You are just moving your shoulders and using your intonation to say, I don't know. Okay, let's go back and practice all of these reductions together. I don't know. 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 All right, let's go on to our next reduction. Next, we have this common word, and. And. Which sound do you think we're going to cut out here? Well, there are 2 common reductions. The first one is an. And. We're cutting out that final D. But we can also simply say N. Just the letter N. N. Let's look at some sample sentences. He had cake and ice cream yesterday. He had cake and ice cream yesterday. Here we're just saying A-N. He had cake and ice cream yesterday. Do you see how that lets us link and ice cream and ice cream? Instead of and ice cream, you're just saying cake and ice cream. Cake and ice cream. To use simply the letter N here, I feel like it doesn't sound completely different than an, but you might hear people say, he had cake and ice cream yesterday. He had cake and ice cream yesterday. He had cake and ice cream yesterday. Let's look at another sentence. I bought bread and eggs, and some chocolate. I bought bread and eggs, and some chocolate. In all of these, I'm using an. Notice how my mouth widens a little bit to say that A vowel. I bought bread and eggs, and some chocolate. But if we want to say just N, you can say, I bought bread and eggs, and some chocolate. So my mouth isn't widening that much because I'm not saying an, I'm just saying N. You've got 2 options. Let's say both of these sentences together. He had cake and ice cream yesterday. He had cake and ice cream yesterday. I bought bread and eggs, and some chocolate. I bought bread and eggs. Oh, and some chocolate. Okay, let's go to our next reduction. Our next reduction is this word, to. But as you can imagine, we don't say to. Instead, there are two different ways that we can reduce this. You could say ta, ah, with an ah vowel, or you can simply say t. Just that T sound, t. Let's look at some sentences. She gave a present to me, me, me. I'm just saying t plus me, to me. She gave a present to me. She gave a present to me. She gave a present to me. Do you see how fast that is? When you learn these reductions, you're going to be able to hear those, and hopefully eventually you'll be able to use them yourself. But it's going to help you pick up on words and phrases that you didn't hear before, because maybe you were expecting someone to say, she gave a present to me, with that full vowel. But instead, we just say, she gave a present to me. So short. What about this sentence? It's polite to say thank you. It's polite to say thank you. To say. It's polite to say thank you. You might hear some people say, it's polite to say. It's polite to say, to say. It's polite to say thank you. But I feel like it's a little bit more common just to simply have to say, to me. It's polite to say thank you. Let's say those two sentences together. She gave a present to me. She gave a present to me. It's polite to say thank you. It's polite to say thank you. Great work. Let's go on to our final reduction. Or is it our final reduction? Let's go. The next reduction is this word, or these two words together. Going to. There are a lot of different ways that we can reduce this, and because we talk about the future, something that we're going to do in the future a lot, this is a super common reduction. Let's take a look at some sample sentences so that you can practice a couple different ways to reduce this. I'm going to study this lesson. Okay, this is every word very clear and very understandable, but native speakers don't speak like that. So our first most common reduction is to say, I'm gonna study this lesson. Going and to together make gonna. The word to changes into just a. I'm gonna study this lesson. I'm gonna study this lesson again because these are a lot of reductions and I feel like I need to practice it again and again to actually understand them in daily conversation. Great. I'm gonna practice this lesson. I'm gonna study this lesson every day. What if you wanted to say it even faster? What sound can we cut out? Well, cut out the G and say, I'm gonna study this lesson. 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 What are you doing today? Oh, I think I'm gonna study this lesson again. I'm gonna. Can we reduce this even further? Yes, the answer is yes. Can always reduce things further, right? So we could say, I'm gonna study this lesson. This one is less common, but you still will hear this. If someone says, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? Oh, I think I'm gonna study this lesson a little bit more. It's not quite as common, but you're definitely gonna hear this occasionally. The most common are I'm gonna with that clear G, or I'm gonna with the G cut out. What about this sentence? When are you going to go? It's okay, very clear, but not quite so natural. You could say, when are you gonna go? When are you gonna go? When are you gonna go? Or you could say really quickly, when are you gonna go? I feel like it's less common to cut out the G when you have you as the subject, because that's a lot of vowels together. You wanna go, but you will occasionally hear that. It's more common to use "unna" with I'm gonna go. And when you have the word you can stick with you. You gonna go. When are you gonna go? When are you gonna go? Let's practice those two sentences together. I'm gonna study this lesson. I'm gonna study this lesson. Let's say it without the G. I'm gonna study this lesson. I'm gonna study this lesson. And our second sentence, when are you gonna go? When are you gonna go? Before we go on to our big challenge sentence, I'd like to give you 3 bonus reductions that I talked about up here in this lesson, but I feel like they needed to be included in a reduction lesson as well. They are want to, have to, and have got to. How can we reduce those? Well, we just talked about gonna, so let's say wanna, have-to, gotta. Let's take a look at some sentences. I wanna study English. Want to are reduced to wanna. I wanna study English. I have to study English. Have and to are reduced to have to. I have to study English. Or I have got to study English. This is really strong. That can be reduced to I gotta study English. I gotta study English. Gotta. So here we have wanna, have to, gotta. Can you say those sentences with me? I wanna study English. I wanna study English. I have to study English. I have to study English. I gotta study English. I gotta study English. Great work with all 10, or we could say 14 of these reductions. Are you ready for a challenge sentence? Are your pronunciation muscles ready for a challenge sentence? Let's look at this nice long sentence that uses all of the reductions we just talked about. We're going to practice it a couple times, and I hope that you can say it out loud with me. Let's look at it. All of the key words that we talked about are in yellow, so make sure that you note those ones. Let's say this a little bit slowly at first so that you can pick up on all of the things we talked about. I saw his note to my husband, but I didn't know that your dog and cat were also gonna sleep in our house. So we can imagine in this situation that someone is gonna spend the night at your house, but they're also bringing their dog and their cat. Let's say this a little bit faster. I saw his note to my husband, but I didn't know that your dog and cat were also gonna sleep in our house. Let's say it one more time. I saw his note to my husband, but I didn't know that your dog and cat were also gonna sleep in our house. How did you do with this challenge sentence? I hope that it exercised your pronunciation muscles well. And now I have a question for you. Which one of these reductions was new for you? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear what you have to say. And of course, if this was a lot to learn, feel free to go back and practice this lesson again. Thanks so much for learning English with me, and I'll see you again next Friday for a new lesson here on my YouTube channel. Bye! The next step is to download my free ebook, 5 Steps to Becoming a Confident English Speaker. You'll learn what you need to do to speak confidently and fluently. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more free lessons. Thanks so much. Bye.